Hello world and welcome to my channel. This video is about my 2006 Toyota Hilux Extra Cab. I call it my forever 4x4, which means I'm going to keep it forever until I can't get it in any longer. And I'm going to explain why I'm doing that. And I hope you like this video. If you do, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Cheers. This is my Hilux 2006 Extra Cab. When I got it, it had concrete sprayed all over the bonnet. The sides down here were yellow stripes and rusty, and in here it was rust everywhere. Had a rusty old ladder rack on the back, and even under that toolbox there, the floor is very thin in some places. Not a lot of it, just in a couple of patches it's thin where it's been rusty. So yeah, so what I done when I first bought it is I got it at auction. Got it at auction for $6,050, and immediately I took it to my mechanic and I asked him to check it over, change the timing belt, change all the fluids, diffs, gearboxes, transfer cases, everything, give us services, brakes, go right over it. And it cost me about $3,500 at that time to do all that, and then I got it registered. So that's what I did first of all. I then used it a few times, and the front was sagging and the back was sagging, the springs. So what I'd done is I bought some springs with a 2-inch lift in them, and at the rear, the leaf springs. I put them in myself, and then in the front I put blocks to raise up the 2-inch lift of the front. And then when I could afford it, I then got fulcrum suspensions to replace the front springs and put new shockies right around, and they matched the leaf springs I put in the back down here. It came with the bull bar. I've since sprayed it by hand with a tin of paint. I put the winch here on it myself. I did it all myself. That's a King's Dominator winch. I put the old spotlights. One wasn't working and one was all opaque. You couldn't see through it. So I put these on it, and they're from King's as well. Only went for the small ones. I don't need the big ones. Upgraded the headlights. I put the brightest and the bluest legal lenses I could in here, bulbs in there, and I upgraded those as well. So they got a white light with a tiny bluish tinge in both headlights, and I put these driving lights on it. I've recently replaced this one because it had water in it and it was all blowing up. I only did one side, the other side is okay. I put an Anderson plug on the front here, so you can plug a solar panel straight into the front and it takes it to the DC-DC charger in the back. But yeah, you can see on the bonnet here how all the cement was on the bonnet, and I've chipped it away and patched it up. That was five years ago I did that when I bought it. The grill was broken as well when I got it, so I put another grill in there. And it's still got a few dings on it. I've changed the mirrors here, put towing mirrors on it. And I widened the indicators because they don't have widened indicators on them. Down here I've got, these are Falcon Wild Track A-Terrains. Now this is the biggest tyre I can get on standard rims, which is 225 16 by 75. I love these tyres. They're smooth, they're good in the wet, as good as you're going to get, and they're quiet and they're fuel efficient. Don't want to go wide, I don't need to get wide tyres, and it puts a lot of extra stress on the parts. So I'm happy with these tyres. You can see down here the amount of rust that's coming into it. I've got to pull it off and do it up one day. I don't have a canopy. Now if I was going to go for a canopy, I wouldn't have this steel tray. I'd have to replace it with an aluminium one because of the weight of this tray alone is very heavy. But I'm using toolboxes. I've got a video on what's in that toolbox, and that's my camping toolbox and my drop down side with a table. The toolbox I got for free for my business. Had two left over when I first started it, and we don't use them anymore. I put a 50-litre water tank under the floor. This is the tap that gets water out of it, and just gravity fed. And this under here is a pump and a shower. My second spare tyre is on the back, bolted to the toolbox. The dirty gear bag. Up the back there's a high lift jack and a shovel, which I have never used those and I don't ever want to use them, but they're there in case I need them. Max tracks up there, they're not max tracks, they're just cheap $50 tracks off eBay. I don't think I'll ever use them. I might even take them off. On the back I've got a reversing camera hooked up to a GPS, a Garmin GPS. So as soon as I put in reverse, camera comes on. And I put this in here. This is the Anderson plug foot hooking up to a caravan to run the fridges and things. The driving lights were hooked up, but I had a tendency to leave them on occasionally and people complained. So I decided to disconnect them for the moment and work out a better system than I've got. So yeah, I took all these yellow stripes off, cleaned it all up. I had to scrape them off because they were on so tight. Heat gun wouldn't remove them. And I've painted a couple of times. In here I put these things, so I can put a fridge in here, a big 75-litre fridge. When I go camping it sits in there and can be tied down, and all the rest of the gear goes in here. And at the moment I can also go to the dump with rubbish and anything I want, so it's a dual purpose type car. That's why if I had a canopy it'd probably be filled up full of rubbish, and you can only use it for minor things. I could go with a canopy like that. That I think we paid $3,500. It's a jack-off canopy. That's what they sell them for. I think they're actually on special at the moment for $3,000. 1800 by 1800 canopy. But if I had to go to a canopy, I'd go to an aluminium tray, and it's going to cost me a lot more money, and I don't want to do that. When I put the water tank in, I had to raise this filler. It was down low and it kept sloshing around and sloshing out. So I raised it up to there, and the breather is this thing here. That is a breather pipe. I had to also raise that up so it wouldn't slosh out. I'm driving. And as I said, there's got a few dings on it and scratches. And scratches here. But when you go bush, you haven't got to worry about it that much getting it scratched, not like a brand new car. I took the ladder rack off. It was only a very narrow one and rusty and very heavy. So I made up the bracket, the ladder rack up the top, which is 1.8 wide, so I can put 2 kayaks up there. This one here I bought, and I made this also 1.8 meters. Otherwise it would only have it to there, but I need to put 2 kayaks up there. So one for me and one for my son. And then I put a kick-ass shower tent on the back here as well, so I can have a shower and use the toilet when I go camping. And the Ridge Rider awning, it's a straight awning that comes out. It's old. The straps that hold it all up are all perished. Yeah, and but it works, and it's got a bit of a ding in it where I hit a tree recently. But yeah, so that's the outside of this ute. Inside here, it's pretty standard. You can see the marks on the roof. I've cleaned a lot of them off, but I've still got a few I can't get rid of. It's an extra cab with seats on the back. I quite often use them occasionally, and the dog comes with us. And I can put store gear in there out of the wet weather if I want it. That's passenger seat. The sliding mechanism on it is broken. The seat itself was good, but the slider was broken. So I searched around and found one at the wrecker for $200. I bought that and installed that, and then I sold the other seat on eBay for 50 bucks. I told the guy it was broken. I showed him where it was broken. He was happy. He had a single cab. I said, I probably won't fit the single cab. He said, look, I'll make it fit. So he took it, and I haven't heard back from him for that. So in here, I'm sitting inside now. So I bought this car at 290,000, and in 5 years I've done 10,000 a year, so it's on to 340,000 kilometers. So what have I done is that cup holder over there was broken. I got one from a wrecker as well. Where it fits was all broken, so I put a screw in the top above it there to hold it in place. I've had the evaporator under the dash replaced, and the sensors. I've replaced these from the wreckers as well. They were both broken when I got it because it was an ex-mine car, an ex-concreter's car, and this whole insert panel here was cracked. So I got that from the wrecker as well and fixed that up. Took the old Toyota cassette player out of here and put in a JVC with a knob. I specifically wanted a knob to adjust volume, because you going on the road, it's very hard to adjust things by pushing buttons and things, and that's the best thing I've ever done with a USB stick. I have dozens of these, and I just choose which mood I'm in. Down here I put a voltmeter in here, another USB outlet there. I put a triple cigarette outlet there, and another USB beside it. The radio here come out of a couple of other cars. I had to buy a new microphone because it was all perished, all the cables are all perished here. That's how old it was. And I married it up with the GMC aerial on the front out there. So I put these pillar pods in. I wanted an EGC gauge, but I went there and they said, no, we've got to take the exhaust off and drill it and tap it and do it all that way. And so I said, look, maybe another day. So what I've done, I'm not pushing this ute hard, so I decided just to put another voltmeter in up here and a water temperature. So one's volts and one's water temperature. And I did all that up myself under the engine bay. Down here we have a brake controller down there. One of these switches was already in for the spotlights at the front. One is for the driving lights at the front, and the other's for the back spotlights, which I've disconnected at the moment. And I put an EVC throttle controller in here. So the EVC throttle controller I bought for my camper trailer, which I've now sold, so I can then dial it up when I need the power. It doesn't give me any extra power, but it gives me immediate power, which makes it good. But most of the time I run that on AC, which is automatic control. I do have a caravan I tow with it, but I'm setting up my work car to tow the caravan because it's a better car to towing, because it's a four-door car and it's automatic with cruise control. This one doesn't have cruise control. The trims are missing around here, but who cares? I might eventually find some of those. But everything in here, I've got some new wipers to go on. They've been on for about 3 years now, so I'm going to put some new wipers on there. And that's about it in here. You can still see the marks from when it was at a microphone up here for when the mines. This is all starting to perish, but if I buy them new, they're about $300 for the trims. So I'm still thinking of what I'm going to do to fix that. I might take it off and do it myself, fix it all up. I'll go under the hood now and see what's under there. Okay, what I've done is under here I've replaced the masters and slave cylinders for the brakes and the clutch. I've put an extra heavy duty clutch in the car. The aircon compressor's been replaced because I've done the evaporator. The clutch went in here, and I couldn't get the clutch fixed. You had to put a whole new compressor in it, and the evaporator needed replacing, and it was all caked up with dirt from the mines. So I've done all that. Got a brand new radiator in here. As I said, new timing belts before, and the boss on the fan has been replaced in there. I've had all this lifted out and cleaned. The tappet cover on the top of the motor has been replaced because it was cracked. The injectors have all been removed, checked, cleaned, reseated and seals, new seals and seats, and put back down. This is the water temperature sender unit here. I cut this and installed that myself, but I am going to get another spare hose to keep as a spare. There's not a lot of movement in there. I'm worried if I go over a lot of corrugations it might crack. So I had trouble with the batteries on this going flat, so I've disconnected the the winch, but I proved it wasn't that. It was actually the battery had dropped a cell and was under warranty. So I got claimed for the warranty, and I got another battery from that. I had a dual battery system in here, but I've since put they didn't seem to last because of the heat either from the motor. When you do look about it, they actually the AGMs take less heat than the lithiums can. So I put a lithium in my back toolbox there, but I've left the space here for something. I might put a box I can put something in. I put a secondary filter in, Donaldson filter, pre-filter. So yeah, so that's all been put in. And I put up here the diff breezers, the two diffs, the gearbox and the transfer case breathers up there. So over the years I've done a fair bit of work to it. This is why I call it my forever four-wheel drive, because I know exactly what I've done and what I haven't done. And if I haven't done it and I think I suspect it might be going, I generally buy it and have it ready. Now I haven't put a catch can in. My mechanic said do not put a catch can in. He warned me, he said do not do it. So I have never put a catch can in. I have never had the need for a catch can. He said do not do it, and he is my mechanic. He is a son of a family member, so he wouldn't give me a bum steer. He's done exactly the right thing, and he looks after me and all our cars for my business. Yeah, one of those bolts is broken just there. So that one there, it's pulled out of here. I'm just going to put a cable tie around that to keep the dust out. But other than that, it's a good motor. It's economical because I haven't gone to wide tyres. It's not stressing out the parts underneath. And I'm happy with what I'm getting out of these. These Falcons are really good tyres. They're quiet, pretty good in the wet. Had them on the beach just recently, good in the sand. So yeah, I'm happy with those tyres. A TCW3 I think they are, TW3s, something like that. But yeah, Wild Peaks, Falcon Wild Peaks 225 75 by 16. Have toyed with the idea of going to wider tyres, but what's the point? And unless you're doing it for looks. And at 66, I'm too old to go that way now. I like these. Yeah, everything works. That's the screw I put in for this cup holder. It was missing cup holders on both sides, and I put them both in from the wreckers. Glover, that's an EPIRB I take with me, a personal EPIRB. Always have that in my car, plus first aid kits and snake bite kits. And the dog's always with me, that's why his bed's in the back. He sleeps on the floor at the back. Yeah. Well, I hope you like this video. As I said before, I call this my forever 4x4 because I know exactly what I've replaced, what I've done to it. I can depend on it. The computer in it, it's a 2006. The computer, you can't even plug a device in there to tell me a fault code because it's before the OBD2. it's OBD1 or something, and I can't get him to come up with the codes. So it's pretty basic car, and it's a good car. As it does me, it's got a 3-litre turbo diesel in it. It's got the extra cab. I can put stuff out of my clothes out of there, anything I need that needs to be out of the weather. And I love it. Does my kayaking and go camping with it. I can tow caravans with it. And I really like my Hilux, my forever 4x4. I hope you like this video. If you do, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Cheers.